Okay, so this week we're going to have some fun making 3D shapes in an isometric grid. And I'm going to put on my Canvas page the download, so you can download the isometric grid sheet and then have fun creating your own 3D buildings and creating a giant cityscape using this grid paper. It's a lot of fun. Experiment, try some different shapes, different sizes, different positions for your roads, all those sort of things, and have fun. I can't wait to see them. Okay, so your project for this week is to build yourself a 3D city. And we are going to use a special paper. It is uploaded on my Canvas page, so you can download it and print it off. And the cool thing about this paper is you look and see it's got all these tiny little grids, and those help you draw shapes in 3D. And we're going to do it from a bird's eye view. That means we're going to be above looking down at shapes. So I got this great paper from my daughter. I know I talk about my kids all the time, and this is my daughter that's up at NC State. She's studying engineering, and look at these cool shapes they got to create with this paper, right? You see how those shapes are. I'll turn it this way so you can really see, right? This is higher up on the sides. It goes down like this. So basically, it's like a U like this, right? With these walls higher on the side, and then they indent down on the top. So that's a really cool one. I love this little castle top shape like this, right? See how it's basically squares on top of a giant rectangle right there. Looks really, really cool. So I've been working on a little bit of a city of my own, just having some fun with it, basically just doing some rectangles, occasionally doing some that do some step ups like this, as if the buildings were, the roofs were built to make it look like they're on stairs, some streets that make some X's crisscrossing across like city blocks, right? Windows, and all of this paper is going to help you build all of these shapes if you just pay attention to the lines, right? So if I go, 12 lines down this way, then I come up 5 and do 12 again. I've got to do 5 across like this. But after a while, you don't even need to count. You're going to be able to just start seeing where your shapes are going to lay out. And then I just went back and started putting some darker shading on one side, assuming maybe my light's coming from this direction, and this would be the dark side of my buildings over here. And I'm going to keep adding to this and sort of fill in my roads and streets. Put your roads on lightly, because then when you do start building some buildings, you're going to probably go across them and you're going to need to erase out. So make sure when you do those streets, they're nice and light. So this is called isometric grid paper. So it's not a typical grid paper in squares. You see, it's in triangles like that. And that's what allows us to do all these nice straight diagonal lines. And this is called an isometric view. So when engineers work on different shapes, on building designs and different things, they use this isometric grid paper to create this isometric view. I call it a bird's eye view of what's going on in these giant shapes. So essentially what you're going to do is you're going to download the piece of paper and you're going to print it off. And let me get a nice blank sheet here. There we go. So you're going to download it, print it off, and then you're going to have this nice diagonal grid paper. And you can start with a building in the center if you want, right? So let's say you start, I'll just start putting on a building first. And it's going to automatically, when you put that first line on, you're going to see you can't come across like this, right? So that first building, I'm going to make it 4 wide across the bottom here. Maybe I'll go 5 wide. And then watch what happens. You see how I can already see how high this outside line needs to be like this, right? So I can bring it up like that, over across like that. There's the start of my building, right? Here's the back side over here. So I went 1, 2, 3, 4 this way. So now I can go 1, 2, 3, 4 this way. Connect those on the diagonal right there. Come back down here, and you can already see that's where I need to go with this shape. So it's going to go right along this line right here. And there I've got the start of my first building in my city, right? So maybe you want to leave a little space and have your street run across like this. Maybe you don't. You have a little sidewalk in front if you want to, and then I could start my next building. Oh, maybe it's pushed in a little bit, right? So my next building might actually start in even a little bit more than this building. And it can come up. Maybe we'll make this a nice tall one like that. Oh, maybe it'll go to about right here. Okay, and then you're just going to slowly start putting in your shapes for your city. A couple of city blocks, any way you like them. If you build your buildings a little bit smaller, you'll have more room to make more. If you make them bigger, obviously you're going to have less space. But even your windows are going to go in on that same, right? It's going to go parallel. See how the top of this window is parallel to the top of that roof right there, right? Couple windows like that. And you follow along, and this isometric grid is going to help you create all of these beautiful 3D buildings on their own. So the other side of my street, maybe I'll have it come this way, like this. Right, and I can start building some buildings this way, building some buildings this way. Like I said, maybe some come a little bit more to the front. Maybe they've got a little step up, like I did on that one building like this, right? So the tops of them are a little bit different. Put on the front of my building first, and then I can put on the back side of my building like this. Okay, so from here, you'll have to do some erasing, you know, part of the way, right? So I went back to here, I'm gonna go back to here, then this will come down, that'll come across, down like that, right? And then I'm gonna wanna put that like this. And you see this would be my step up part of this building right here, okay? So we can keep, and then this is only one wide, so that would only be one wide, and that would come back like that. So have some fun. Work on your geometric, your sort of 3D shapes using this paper. Design yourself a city block. You might want to design a couple of city blocks. You can add some color, or you can just add some shading on the side to really make your buildings pop. Add some doors, add some windows. This is mine that I've been working on. I'm going to keep going and adding some more stuff. Change it up if you want to make a smaller window inside, right? Not quite directly on the grids. Just make sure you're following the same pattern. If I wanted a big, tall, skinny window right there, I'm still putting the top and bottom of it parallel on the diagonal with this, right? And then I can put a long, skinny window in like that. So give it some variety, different windows, different doors, different size buildings, maybe some stairs, some step ups, some stripes, you know, even something that's got an arch in it, like this, right? And give it a lot of fun variety. Enjoy making your isometric view buildings, city grid.